going to show you today is how to sow your broad beans. Now, broad beans can either be sown directly in the soil outside, or they can be sown undercover in a greenhouse. Now, I've tried both ways, and personally I prefer to sow them undercover because I find that the germination rate is much higher. I sowed, when I had the allotment, I did sow some directly outside and only about half of them germinated. But if I sowed them undercover in the greenhouse, I got like 95% germination rate. So from now on, I will sow them inside undercover. Now, you can sow your broad bean seeds as early as February undercover, February, March and the early part of April. But if you do want to sow them outside, you can sow them in March and April. Obviously, if March is very, very cold, I would suggest leaving it until it's sort of warmed up a little bit. But I'm going to show you how I sow mine inside. Now, the variety of broad beans that I've got here today are called Express Eleanor. Okay, there we are. Now, I love broad beans. I think they're really easy. If you're new to gardening, they're one of the easiest things to grow. So let me show you how I sow mine. Now, here I've got a toilet roll, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it in half like this. Now, if you haven't collected your toilet rolls and got your friends and relatives to collect toilet rolls for you, don't worry. You could always sow them in a 3-inch pot, but I find that sowing them in a half toilet roll is great, because then you can, when you come to plant them outside in the garden, you just need to move the entire thing and just pop it in the ground, and you don't disturb any of the roots at all, and the toilet roll will biodegrade. Now, all you need to do is to get your half toilet roll, put your hand at the bottom and then just fill it with multi-purpose compost. Don't pack it down too hard, because the broad bean seed is quite large, and if you pack this down too hard, then you won't be able to push the seed down. Okay, so once you've done that, all you need to do is to sow your seed. Now, these are the broad bean seeds. They're very large. Some people do soak these for about 12 hours before they sow them, but I never have. So if you would like to, then please feel free. It just sort of softens up the outside shell. Just get one bean seed and make sure, don't have it flat like that. Make sure you put it in the soil like that. Okay, and all you need to do, it doesn't matter whether it's that way or whether you put it that way. Okay, there's a little slit here, and this, can you see that little slit there? That's where the root and the stem will come out. So as long as that's pointing to one side, it's fine. So pop it in there and push it down as far as it will go. Mine's gone down about 1 inch to 1.5 inches is good. And then just cover over the space, the hole that you've made, with a little bit more compost, and that's one done. If you are sowing your beans in a 3-inch pot, then you can put 2 seeds per 3-inch pot. So put one north and one south, but I'm only going to put one in a half toilet roll, because that gives it just one seed, just about enough space. So I'll carry on and I'll do the rest, and when I've finished I'll come back and show you. So here is one tray. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it a good water. Remember, these seeds are a long way down, so you need to give them a good water. And what I'm going to do then is I will put a label in there. So I'll just slot it in there, I think, somewhere safe. Okay, and then I will keep these in the greenhouse. I won't bother to put a propagator lid on top of them, because they're quite used to cold temperatures. So if it suddenly gets cold, they should be okay. They shouldn't really worry. Now I'm hoping that in about a week to 10 days, these should start disturbing the soil on the top because they're just about to poke through. But when they do start to poke through, then I will let you know. Well, that's the broad beans sown. They're very easy. They're one of the easiest vegetables to grow. So if you are a beginner, they are a perfect thing to try. They don't take much looking after once they're planted outside. If you do want to sow your seeds directly outside, what I would suggest you do is you dig over the area where you want to plant them. You then make sure that you've removed any weeds and any large stones and broken down any large clumps of soil. Then put a line in so that you can get a straight line, and sow 2 seeds every 9 inches. That way, hopefully at least one from each group will come up and you'll end up with a nice long line. If you do find that 2 seeds germinate and you don't want to get rid of one of those, just very carefully dig one up and move it to the end of the line, or move it to where there's a space. And then that way you won't have lots of spaces in between your line of broad beans. I would also suggest that if you are sowing them directly outside, that you push them into the soil 2 inches, so that by the time they've come through the soil, they are quite strong and sturdy and resilient. Water them regularly, and just remember that because they are that much further down in the soil, you'll need to make sure that you water enough so that the water permeates through the soil and actually gets to them. And hopefully, if you do sow them directly outside, they should hopefully start to poke through the soil in maybe about 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously, it depends on the weather and what it's like outside. So I'm sure I will one year try again. Now I've got the raised beds, I may well next year do some inside and some outside, but this year I can only do them inside because yes, the raised beds are constructed, but they're not filled yet. So I can't actually direct sow any outside at the moment. Well, I hope you give broad beans a go, and as I say, I will keep you updated on their progress. Well, I hope you found that useful, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.